Hello, what's going on? This is Logan Pinney, Director of Imagination at the Hollows Camp, and also one of the QA testers for Lights Camera Render. Helped David get this cyberpunk scene out of Unreal and into Cinema. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that in case you want to download something off the Unreal Engine Epic Games Marketplace and bring that from Unreal inside of Cinema 4D. Here we go. So you've got your scene in Unreal Engine. You dropped in your badass cyberpunk character, modeled by Fajrul Falakh, and you realize that you think you could make something better inside Cinema using Octane, Redshift, or whatever render engine you'd like. This is a wicked scene. I will put a link in where you can get this scene, and to the artist, Denys, I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, did an amazing job. He's built all kinds of scenes for the Epic Marketplace. Highly suggest you check them out, including the free one, The Factory, which I'll also leave a link for. Okay, so let's figure out how to do this. Step 1. How do I Unreal Engine? Unreal Engine. Head on over and download the Unreal Engine. It is free. What are you waiting for? Now that I have Unreal Engine installed and I have my Cyberpunk Interior Kit map purchased and opened, then I am going to go ahead and open up the most critical part of the process. To do that, go over to Window, Developer Tools, Merge Actors. This Merge Actors, it's beside my world outliner here on the right hand side, will allow you to do exactly what the title says, merge the actors. If you didn't know, Unreal Engine uses the terminology actor to refer to a lot of the moving parts. These are static meshes, but you could also call them actors. Having a character, this is an actor, right? Because she's acting in the scene. Easy. So, in order to visualize this a little bit easier, go over here to this menu here where it says Lit, and click on Unlit. All that is doing is taking away all the lights from me. So I'm seeing everything in a flat environment. Does this look like something that's familiar to do inside of Cinema? I'm talking about quick shading. So, great, now we have everything. Now what I'm going to do is go way back into my world outliner. I don't need my cameras. You can take them if you want, but I don't need the cameras. I don't really need the environment stuff. You can bring the lighting if you want. Since we're lighting it inside of Cinema, I don't bring the lighting. I don't need the reflections. The decals is the one part that I have not figured out the workflow how to do properly. So we're going to leave that alone. That's the one drawback. I can't get the graffiti in. Okay, so we have the group actors, which is essentially a mini version of merging actors. SM stands for static meshes. So I have all of the group actors with meshes inside there. Scroll down. Okay, so I've effectively selected all of the geometry inside of the environment. Back into my Merge Actors tab, you can see now that this is populated with all of the actors and static meshes that I've selected in my world outliner. There's a lot of them. Okay, you're going to go down to this button, Merge Actors. Click that. It is going to ask you where you would like to save. This is the Cyberpunk Interior Kit. I've got a couple of examples I already did. Let's do another one. So you can see I have this static mesh merged, no bake materials, group decal. That did not work. I tried to get the decals, it did not work. So let's just take that off. Test. Save. Okay, done. Into the folder where I wanted it saved. There it is. We've got it here. I can open it up. Now, this is just default lighting inside of the mesh editor. It's the same scene without any of the lights, without any of the decals. There's graffiti on the vending machines and on the walls and down here, on here. So there's no decals, unfortunately. But everything else is more or less the same. Fantastic. Now what do we do? Now I have a giant geometry and I have all of these materials and I do not know what to do with them. This is the next part, which is somewhat of a tedious task. I'm going to go ahead and open up a second content browser, similar to how you would open up another content browser inside of Cinema. I'm going to navigate to my Cyberpunk interior, materials. These are all the materials. There's 101 materials. This also includes the decals. So if you exclude the decals, 67 materials. So not that much work inside of Cinema to rebuild this. Just kidding, it's a ton of work, and David did all of it. Okay, so the next step here is I have the mesh, I have all the materials that I need to bring inside of Cinema. I'm going to go into the textures. These are all of the texture maps for each of the material. The Unreal naming convention, for those of you that are not aware, the prefix T stands for texture. T underscore bathtub, that's the name of the mesh, underscore BC. BC stands for basic color. The next one here, what does it look like? It looks like a normal map. It probably is a normal map because it has a suffix of underscore N for normal map. The next one here, ORM, as a suffix, is ambient occlusion, roughness, metal. For those of you that are not aware, Unreal does texture packing. So each of the channels, if I'm viewing one channel at a time, the red channel contains the roughness, the green channel is roughness, blue channel is metallic, and red channel is the ambient occlusion. Okay, this is a clever way to pack materials and be able to have one texture for multiple uses. Unfortunately, Octane does not do this at the time of this recording. So what you are going to do is select all of your materials, right click, Asset Actions, Export. When I exported them, I organized them into color map, masks, normal maps, ambient occlusion, roughness, metallic. I then packaged these up as zip files and sent them over to David. David did all the heavy lifting and he rebuilt all of these materials from scratch inside of Octane. Okay, so I now have the merged geometry with all the materials attached to them, and I've exported all the material maps. I'm now going to take my merged geometry from the content browser, right click, Asset Actions, Export. This is going to export an FBX, which is what we want to do. Once you have the FBX exported, open that up inside of Cinema 4D. You will have something similar to what I have here. You have an entire list of all of the materials, and they are all blank and empty. Now, this is the tedious task of rebuilding all the materials. However, you've essentially transferred your entire scene into Unreal, from Unreal into Cinema. So not every scene will have this many materials, and depending on the team you're working with, or if you're one-man army like David, you'll just go ahead and grind out all the materials and build them yourself. So huge respect and props for David for being able to do that. So you will note that the orientation in Unreal Engine is different than Cinema, and it can be somewhat annoying. So the best way to solve that problem would be to figure out what orientation you're actually in. Let's use a pyramid. Okay, so I am upside down and facing the wrong way. So I want to have this oriented to that. Okay, so the correct orientation, you might have some geo jank to clean up. Oh, sorry, let me explain this to you. UCX_SM_merged_all, like our main geo is called merged all. The UCX prefix actually refers to the collisions that are built inside of Unreal Engine. So you can delete anything that has a prefix UCX or similar. So I dropped in a pyramid for a frame of reference. This is how the orientation in Cinema is, and the orientation is quite a bit different in Unreal. Well, slightly different, not quite a bit, but this will be a lot easier to navigate this scene if you take the main object and you actually rotate it -90 on the pitch value. Alright, we're getting very close now. We have our geometry imported as an FBX. We have all of our textures exported out of Unreal and saved into folders so that we can rebuild them. I have gone ahead and opened up the Octane live viewer, and I am switching the materials from the standard materials that come with Cinema into Octane materials. And to do that, we click on Materials inside of the Octane live viewer, go down here and select Convert Materials. I have already done that because it takes a little bit of a time to convert them. Once they're converted, should be good to go. After you've done converting, it's good practice to go in and remove the materials that you're not using, and to do that you would click Edit, Delete Unused Materials. So I have focused in on the chair because I want to show you the workflow and give you an example of how to convert an Unreal texture into a Octane texture. I have loaded up the mi_computer chair. Mi refers to material instance, which is an Unreal material workflow where you build a master material, then create children of the masters, which are then called instances. Opening up the computer chair and going inside of the node editor, this is what you will be presented with. You'll have something black in the diffuse, and you'll have maybe something in the normal, maybe not. You might have no diffuse and only a normal. Either way, it's junk. Take that, get rid of it. Okay, I have grabbed the chair base color, chair normal map, and the chair ambient occlusion, roughness, metallic map. So the easiest step, well, first of all, go over to the material, click on it. Under basic, change the material type from glossy to universal. You are then going to take the basic color and plug it into the albedo. Basic color and albedo mean the same thing. You're going to take the normal map and plug that into the normal. This is where it gets interesting, and it's actually quite simple. So in order to extract each of the values, red, green, and blue, we're going to take a multiply node, and we're going to take a color node, RGB spectrum. You're going to take these and make 2 more copies. Control copy, Control V. Now, take each of these. I'm going to take my occlusion roughness metallic and bring it into texture 1 of each of the multiply slots. I'm then going to take each of the RBGs, and I'm going to make one of them pure red and plug it in to the texture slot. I'm going to make the next one pure green and plug it in to the second texture slot. I'm going to take the third one, and you probably guessed it by now, all blue. Then I will plug that into the texture slot. Now I have effectively taken this map, which has a combination of red, green, and blue, and isolated them into the red, green, and blue. I will then go and take a color correction node, 3 of them. I will plug each of them in to the texture slot, and I will grab this and desaturate, desaturate, desaturate. Making a little bit of room. I will start with the, when you're checking on this, if you forget which color goes where, O refers to occlusion, which maps to red because it's the first one, RGB. O is to red, R is to green, roughness, M, metallic, is to blue. So we'll plug my metallic from blue into the metallic. I'll take my green and I'll plug that into my roughness. Occlusion is something that is often baked in with Unreal materials. Now, I'm not 100%, but I believe the workflow inside of Octane will be to take a multiply node, take my occlusion, and multiply that by my basic color, putting that back into my albedo. I don't really like the results of that. I've been experimenting with it, so I'm not a fan of doing that. I prefer to just add another float value here, and then I can dial things up and down as I see fit for the color power. I'm not even going to do that. I'm just going to have just my basic albedo. So the ambient occlusion you can use or not use. It's up to you, and it's up to the lighting as well as the situation. Okay, so that is just one material. Now go ahead and do that with all of the rest, and then you will have an idea of just how much effort David put into converting this scene from Unreal inside of Cinema. Keep in mind, I just grabbed an Octane light and dialed it up to 300 just to make it super strong so that I could see what was going on. Alright, now I would like to show you the scene that David used for his final short for the Lights Camera Render course. Fully rendered out in Octane, all the textures rebuilt by the master, Octane Jesus, and here we go. Let's take a look at it. Just phenomenal. There you have it. That was pretty friggin' amazing, and as you can tell by watching David's portion of his short, he redid the background, he changed all the lightings, he moved some of the models around. I think he got rid of this chair and these pillows, and the perspective is here so you don't actually see that the character walks into the bathroom on their way for the cyber fight. But pretty funny and really amazing just to see that despite him never using anything in Unreal, he still was able to take the entire thing and make it look amazing inside of Octane. I just want to give a huge shout out again to David Ariew and School of Motion, and I would like to also give a shout out to Fajrul. The characters, the cyberpunk samurai, the cyberpunk girl, the cyberpunk mercenary, and the sci-fi soldier are all available assets in the course Lights Camera Render. The cyberpunk interior kit bash set is by Denys Rutovskyi. Yeah, butchered that, but Denys has got some phenomenal work. It's $100. It's well worth it. There are many shots that just showcase how cool this asset pack is. A lot of stuff. If you're into kit bashing like I am, then you will have a ton of fun with this pack. He also created this factory environment collection that is free, and it has so many assets in it. It's gigantic. This map could be its own game on itself. So again, I highly encourage you to check out Unreal Engine and just get learning inside there. I wanted to give one final thank you to David Ariew and School of Motion for putting together this course, Lights Camera Render, and allowing me to work through it. David poured his heart and soul into this, and it shows. The work coming out of here is just incredible. He's a phenomenal teacher. I cannot recommend it enough. There is a spring registration opening up in 7 days. If you're not already in the course and watching this, then please check it out and support David, just a wonderful human being. I also got to give a big shout out to my buddy Winbush. I would not have learned any of this stuff inside of Unreal if I hadn't taken the course creating the Unreal. Again, I cannot stress enough how critical it is as a Cinema 4D user to just take this class and hammer through it in a weekend, and before you know it, you're going to be making some pretty amazing stuff inside of Unreal. So thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, David, School of Motion, and of course all of the people, Denys and Fajrul, as well as the rest of the individuals that contributed to the models inside of Lights Camera Render. Thanks again for watching this video on creating a Unreal scene inside of Cinema 4D with Octane. If you have any questions or you want to hit me up, you can check me on the socials at HollowsWoodsman. Okay, thank you very much, and bye now.